Hello! Feels like forever. Hey! Welcome to Jarviskjir Here Be Heroes. Sorry, I'm looking all over the place. My setup has changed since the last time I streamed. I gotta look all over the place. I'm in like, I have to like turn my desk to get to other places. So I feel like the hacker man that like helps the superhero.
Really?
Like I have to like wheel like I like wheel back here for painting, and then I'm like drawing over here, and I'm like when I was playing Spider-Man yesterday, like the game was here and like the stream's over there and chat's here. It's like it's too much. I think my computer's now too good. Honestly, I think I am now suffering from it. But what I'm not suffering from is illness. Maybe. We'll find out in the future. But, we're here. And we're all good. Even someone who's in a hotel. And has had to...
Surprisingly good lighting.
MacGyver... Yeah, actually, better lighting than me. I'm actually gonna fix that right now, because I can... Oh, shit. I just broke my lighting stand. Good job, Ollie. You fucking dingus.
How did you break it?
It fell off. That's a problem for future Ollie. I'll just gently lay the sweet prince to rest down here.
No.
Oh my goodness. That's
That was
great.
as gentle as I could do it. So this is gonna be a good stream. Why don't I remind you about what happened on the last episode?
Oh no.
Please do. I'm in
Maybe
such
I'll
a good mood. I don't imagine anything could be.
Nothing could possibly ruin that mood. Just in an absolutely upbeat manner right now.
Yep.
You know what we need? Coffee.
I have coffee actually, but so what happened last week? You were given a contract to go to the Elvish city of Thundrol, the High Elvish city to be precise, in the Elvish lands, and you discovered exactly how pretentious the High Elves are, exactly as all of you expected. They needed your help with an exorcism of a spirit that had been haunting a library. Standard stuff, really. Cool. You, while you're there, all your food is like paid for, and you have this extravagant room in this very high-class tavern. And then you actually got to trying to deal with the spirit. First of all, the spirit was sort of conjuring creatures, and then you actually tried to excise the spirit itself, which did not go to plan, because it seemed like it didn't want to be excised. And you didn't necessarily want to fight it when it became evident that the spirit was some form of banshee, some form of elvish spirit tied to the world, who was fighting you while maybe thinking you were someone else, and told you about that she wouldn't die to the minions of the King of Spears or something to that effect. And you ended up leaving with a bunch of new scars, feeling pretty darn shitty about yourselves because you watched quite a visceral re-death for this banshee. It's actually been a whole night since that little encounter, and the camera pans in through the beautiful balcony of the Rusted Ruby Tavern to a nice breakfast pigeon pie that's been presented in your room. And by the time any of you properly wake up, like the attendant has already left. Like the first person to like get up, like see this door closing. There's this nice breakfast pie is presented in the middle of the room. And almost when you're smelling the delicious morning food, you don't feel like shit. But then, when you're getting up Barut, and you see in a shiny like a shiny plate, because it's very shiny, it's very pretentious, lots of high quality things. It's just plate on a wall. It makes no sense. You see the pale scars down your face where the banshee scratched you, and then you feel like shit. It's actually a fairly pleasant day in Thundrol. Your tavern room has the suite has a balcony that goes out into the city, and you can kind of already see the city working and warming up. Elves actually, despite not sleeping, aren't the most early morning people. They're very slow about doing the work of the day. And when you guys wake up early because you're professional adventurers who are used to it and traveling a lot. The city hasn't even really woken up yet. You can hear, people rushing to get things started. But it's actually fairly quiet.
Okay.
I think I want to go for a walk. Anyone want to come with me? May as well. The city's.
Go for a run.
Ooh. Yes and no.
I will give him like a hearty pat on the back and I say, "Let's go for a run."
Okay. I'll get peer pressured into a run. Why not?
It's the only way you're gonna get me to go on a run, to be entirely honest.
Pass?
It's the only one on the pie.
Tobias just looks up from a crouched position, setting an alarm, and by one of the nearby windows. And I'm like, yeah, let me just go grab some coffee and we can
How are you feeling, by the way, after the, by the end of the day?
Is feeling empty.
Yeah, I felt pretty bad, but the good thing is that the coffee it can fix that, so,
Yeah. The only concern with that is that we're not going to be able to have coffee on the road.
Well, funnily that you say that, not exactly the road, because you bought so much coffee yesterday, your little breakfast, morning setup actually has come with a coffee pot. And
Unreal.
Yeah. They realized that you clearly want coffee, and, they're charging someone, it's just not you.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. That's fine.
I just looked at Brew and I'm like, right. But we're not on the road.
Well, we're not on the road yet. And Barut's going to pour himself a cup as well. And there's a cup available. He's having it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's cups.
Excellent. Then I'm going to have some coffee before the run. Yeah.
So everyone but Varric, you go on a morning run. Are you just going to sort of just go? Aimlessly following the paths you wish to go down as much as whatever.
I think we're probably letting Eleanor lead since she is faster than both of us.
She is the person who leads the morning exercise.
Yes.
I
is
take
our
the
drill
scenic
instructor.
route as much as I can, which probably involves, if I could, going on the outskirts of town, towards where the nature is and whatnot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you start running. The district that you're in, the lower pass, is actually a little bit away from the marketplaces and the centers. Varric in his room, he can see the marketplaces in the middle of the city, and watching for how people load up their stalls during the morning, but you can easily start running to the outskirts, to the northern outskirts of town, or perhaps more. You'd probably go to the north, where you see the edge of the ancient Edelndai forest, and unlike a lot of other fantasy cities in Jarviskjir, there's not so much a system of satellite towns to Thundral. It's very much, you wouldn't run outside the main gate. It would be hassle. You can run as close as possible, but the gate, you can see outside to degrees. There's raised areas and things, and you would try to see outside. And you can see the river that goes down towards the sea, but this city is quite a far ways from the sea. You can't see it anywhere at all. You do see large boats going back and forth quite slowly because it's not the biggest river. I do want you all to give me perception checks, though. Not Varric.
Yeah, I almost did them.
Yeah, I know. I
me.
saw you move it.
Why would I ever roll that disadvantage?
Oh, it's the reaction.
Oh,
That's why.
goodness.
Oh my goodness.
I won't pretend I'm not furious, but go on.
Running through a city that you haven't been to before is not the most sensible plan, especially after a cup of coffee, because you ran quite a way. This run is going to be several hours.
Oh,
Eventually,
just die.
Eventually, just tired and exhausted, you need to to relieve yourself, Tobias. Earlier than the others, because one is a fucking Viking warrior woman who is iron control of all bodily functions, and one is an elf. You go and excuse yourself down an alley and be like, just wait a minute. Where you meet some pleasant individuals. You never really noticed when you were running through the city or when you were taking a slow walk through the city before. And you know, Slate Cove is enough of an urban environment where it has dark alleyways and stuff and has people on the street. And those people do not live long in a cold environment like that. Here, though, you never maybe even considered the idea of the homeless elves or elves on the street. And when you go down a street in the lower pass, in an area quite far away from the rest of the city, you end up nearly getting attacked by two elves who they see you have armor and equipment, and that you even have like potions on your belt, and they nearly go at you with a very simple dagger with a long hilt. This is one of those things where, as an adventurer, even at level 3, no rolls or anything have to happen. You can, if you want to deal with the problem in any particular way, tell me what you would do. But you end up avoiding any serious trouble, but it's just one of those, like, quite sobering moments. I mean, you already were suspicious of a city like this because it's such it's so good. But seeing the other side.
Let me just take a quick look in the old inventory here. You know what? Like, I get it. These guys are just having a bad time. What I will do for these fine gentlemen, I will just disarm them, whatever, and be like, look, why? Why are you attacking me? I'm just trying to take a piss. I'm out for a run. My friends are running. I'm running slower.
You can give me a persuasion check.
This is
or an intimidation, but this is more persuasion.
I'm not trying to intimidate them.
I know.
I'm genuinely just like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, how did you think this was going to end for you?
One of them immediately starts running away, but there's two of them. The other one looks back, and actually you're a human. Took you a while to notice that this one was a half-elf.
Mm-hmm.
The ways to tell are slight and not necessarily important right now. But he just kind of looks at you, and he's got a few scars, and he's like, "You're foreign. Foreigners are a target. You got money. Come in here, and we need it. We got people to pay."
Who do you have to pay? And to what end?
He kind of backs up a little more and kind of like kicks the dagger, like not like back where his friend ran away from, just so he doesn't pick it up near you. Kind of picks it up and like puts it in like a boot. He's like, "I can't tell you that. I can't tell you. You don't go messing around in things you shouldn't belong in, foreigner. You don't."
I just kind of like look around the city and I'm like, it's a bit late for that. Anyways, I will, I'm not going to give him any money, but I will give him what he needs, which is a cask of dwarven ale. And I'll just like reach into my bag and roll it over to him. And I'm like, look, if you need the money, sell this for some gold. Maybe that'll help. If you don't actually need the money, just cut out the middleman and try to be less shitty.
It's one of those incredibly surprising, like, just catches him entirely off guard, like he was ready to run. Like, when you start reaching for your pocket, who knows what he thought you were going to reach for? But then you pull out, like, a mini keg, hand it to him, he's like, huh, alright. Maybe you aren't all bad.
And I'll just kind of turn to leave, and I'm like, next time you see a foreigner, maybe ask them about where they're from, because you might make a new friend. You know my face, not my story. And I turn and walk away.
Like, yeah, that was a good line to yourself. Like, yeah, proud of that one. And then you head back to the rest of it.
That was a long piss. Are you okay? That coffee really did a number on you, huh?
Yeah, it is brutal. A
Ugh.
whole keg of it back there, you know.
Ugh. And I just pat him on the shoulder and we keep running.
While you're running, actually, it ends up starting to rain. Which is, it's one of those things just to further point the whole sort of, the point of this little exercise of Thundral is so beautiful and shining and is a city designed to be seen in the sun. I mean, they worship the sun here. It's designed to be a city where light reflects off objects and makes brilliant designs. When it starts raining, and it's not even raining hard, it's just a drizzle, but it's enough to sort of take the luster off everything. And there's some beauty to be seen in the way that the rain goes down ceramic gutters and into little troughs on the side of streets. In the way that elves, with their delicate hair, like try to rush out of the rain, and some of them who just like openly embrace it. It's enjoyable in a way to look at. While you're looking around, near the end of the run, when you're getting quite back close to the Rusted Ruby, which is your tavern, you actually see a flash of light, just sort of. You gotta imagine all of these are like almost spiry buildings or small ones. You see a flash of light over a building, over a roof. You're like, oh, what's that? And you continue. You basically just turn the jog in that way. I mean, you're sort of slowing down. You're getting back to the tavern. And it turns out it's from the library, the local library here. And when you passed it yesterday, you saw books flying at the windows on the second floor. And now you're seeing flashing lights on every window, and the populace of the library are kind of sitting on the steps outside, a little perturbed and confused. And that same sort of clearly low-tier cleric, like follower of the faith here, who was meant to deal with it before, is just kind of like standing at the door awkwardly.
I'm gonna go up to him. What's happening?
Oh! And this would start. He would start in common and then switch to Elvish quickly when he realizes that you, of course, can speak. Most of you can't. It says, the Banshee, she returned.
Same one.
As far as the magics can tell, she is extremely not happy.
Understandably so.
It's like when you say it, like the door behind him is like, it's like he's very jumpy.
Is she still contained on the second floor?
No.
Okay. We'll be back as soon as we can. But first things first, any and all information that you have on this, sooner the better.
There is a banshee
I'm just
in the
taking out
library.
my sword at this point, like, and just like walking forward, like, all right, well, time to go.
We need to grab Virik.
Guess we're killing her again.
Oh no.
And we need to grab Virik, and we need a different strategy this time. Lower your weapon.
Perhaps if you just perhaps what you did last time didn't work.
It could be. We are pretty sure that it worked to the extent of killing her, so it might be a different Banshee. It could be her friend that she mentioned. The other issue is that it could be her returned again, which would mean that she's able to return somehow from where we sent her, which was very much back to her grave. So what I mean is, I understand there's a Banshee in the library. What information can you give me that would be relevant to where she is, what she's doing, how she's behaving? I can see the lights.
I believe
and
the
I saw
term
door.
it is a human term because Elvish children do not do this. Is tantrum.
Interesting. Well, you say that Elvish children do not do that. I will tell you that where I'm from, they absolutely do. And also, this is an Elvish child that has returned
I do not
from the
think she is
grave.
a child. But what would I know?
I'm just gonna pat him on the shoulder. Just keep everybody out of there for now. We'll be back as soon as we can. Turn to the group. We should go get Virik and come back here.
Agreed. But what did you have in mind this time?
Talk to her. It worked very well for me last time, as you can tell. and I'm gonna start walking.
I'll also remind you, Barut, you have a book on spirits.
I do.
I meant to say that in the recap because it's pertinent information.
Fair enough.
You could eat Veric's across the road. You could even yell from the balcony if you wanted to.
Wait, that's gonna be pretty much the plan. Virik, go Virik! Climb down!
Who?
He's a monk, he could just jump down.
Exactly!
If you wish to, you do have to give me an acrobatics roll.
I would point out, I probably wasn't running in my armor. So I'm gonna...
Well, Aelnor absolutely was.
Yes! I was absolutely not, because I am not that hardcore
Okay,
yet.
you go up to get Virik.
I was gonna say it would entirely depend on how much in a rush they are. Because if they're in a rush, then
I'm grabbing that book as well, because I would have left the book upstairs as well.
You didn't go running with all your gear, essentially.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I will say Virik would look much happier to hear that it's back than you would have expected.
No, Barut is like, if I'm the one telling you, he's gonna be. She's not dead, which
Yep.
well, I mean, she is dead.
She is dead.
She is dead, to clarify. But we didn't get rid of her, and I think we might have an opportunity to talk with her. But I need to, and I'm gonna grab the book and I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna put my hand down on it. My eyes are gonna flash a little bit, and you're gonna see a little bit of lore keeping, and mostly I'm looking for a brief summary of that section of that book,
I
if
actually
possible.
want you to give me a wisdom check.
Wisdom check. Got it.
Man, I hate my lighting right now. If only I had a light that I could turn on to make me look better. So you focus your magic on speed reading the book. The magic does not literally look through the word. It's more the emotion and the lessons that are imprinted within every book subconsciously by the writers and the readers. As you go and you look through many types of spirits and specters in this book, you read about banshees, and there's no reference of banshees ever returning from after being banished. It does talk about how banshees are exclusively elvish, but not exclusively female, just predominantly female. Their horrible scream that Virik knew about, because he's a drow, and drow do not rest easy in the grave. But predominantly, it is exactly that. It is resting easy in the grave. For a banshee to be created, an elf has to be killed in such a brutal way that their spirit is essentially terrified into undeath. But they can be slain, they can be destroyed, they can be excised, you can do all those things. What you do notice as you sort of skim through everything else, specters, everything else, poltergeists, ghosts that haunt buildings or places, and do not usually have a necessarily physical form, cannot be destroyed unless they are put to rest. Which leads you to have a think that this is some sort of banshee and a poltergeist. Poltergeists, when you read it more closely off these window magic, poltergeists haunt buildings, they throw objects, they, in very dangerous situations, can create other undead, such as shadows, or... You don't really know what the things that attacked you were, but if this was
Fits the bill.
If this was a spirit of someone who read a lot of books, well, it describes poltergeists as being able to manipulate reality in the area they're haunting. And that fits the bill. So that's the conclusion you start to come to, that there is no reference of there ever being a banshee poltergeist or a poltergeist banshee, but it's a banshee, and it's acting like a poltergeist. And it describes it as they need to be put to rest, which is a very nebulous term.
Yeah. This is a new type of monster, it seems. This book doesn't quite cover it, but it does cover two things that this creature would be. A banshee and a poltergeist. Are any of you familiar? I know, Virik, you're familiar with banshees, but...
Yep. They usually go away when killed.
Poltergeists don't. They need to be put to rest.
Oh.
In what manner?
Unfortunately, the book is not all that specific. It just, but hey, rest is a term often used for a restful death. The reason why banshees exist is because they didn't go peacefully. They weren't ready to go, and they have this unrest about their death. If this poltergeist is a banshee as well, which it seems like, then it would follow that she needs to have her business finished. The things that are keeping her here, from the anger, the frustration, the King of Spears.
Did at any point any of you mention that the guy said that she's having a tantrum at the moment? Or,
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have, but if anyone else would have.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe in the initial description of like what she's doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
in that case, Varric's gonna say, I might have an idea about why she's doing that. I'm gonna hold up the book we took. She might want her book back.
I'm gonna take that from you, and I'm actually going to put my hand on it, and you'll see my eyes roll back and light flow through them one more time, and I'm gonna cast Lore Keeping.
Also,
again
give
on
me
it.
a wisdom check.
Absolutely. Oh, so close! It was so close.
Oh, I get to keep things going for a little bit longer. All right. You go through this again, and it's the same thing you got before. This book is so faded and old that it's been read so many times that the only thing you can really get from it is that it's a romantic fictional story. And you actually get more from it this time because the more you do lore keeping, the more it's like you've actually read the book, right? It is just a dumb fictional story. It's actually about, like a half elf and an elf who they fight taboos. But it doesn't seem good. It seems like a particularly bad, like a badly written sort of cheesy novel. But it's the same thing you get before. Is the name of the person who owned the book, and you get flashes of like their signature in the book as you sign their book, which is this is notes for a project that isn't going on yet. It is the name of Ayla D. Whisperglade. Written in very neat elvish handwriting. And at that point, you can probably even open it up and you can find that slightly faded signature.
I'm going to read as much of the book as I can, not using lore keeping.
I'm just gonna sit down and start reading. At this point, to the rest of you, it's quite obvious that that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's not a big book, but still, time.
Yeah.
Varric would actually try and get into a position where he can read over his shoulder as well.
I would 100% allow that. Bert is very happy to share the knowledge. Absolutely, he's gonna hold it out like this, so that if multiple people want to sit over the shoulders, they can also.
What do the humans want to do while this is going on?
I'm a fairly quick reader, just in general.
Say, I feel like I generally would just be like,
there's still coffee.
Oh, okay, we're on the next page.
Especially because you're reading Elvish, even though you can read Elvish,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
not as fast as the elf
Not my
cleric
first
of
language.
knowledge.
I
Don't
could
fall
also
back.
read it out loud if everybody wants story time.
If you start doing that, I'm leaving.
There is still coffee. Just drink some coffee, relax.
What I would actually like to do, because the library is real close.
It's essentially
Across
like
the
a street
street.
away.
cool.
Yeah.
I want to go to the library, not go in, but try to look through the windows and stuff to see if I can see what's actually going on in there. That's what I
And do you want to join him, Eleanor?
Actually, after working out, I'll probably spend my time meditating and praying, for more, magic to defeat an evil spirit.
Entirely fair.
Yeah.
All right, so Tobias, give me a perception check. Both Baruch and Virik. Ooh, it's
glad
intelligence
you-
checks. It's intelligence.
Okay.
No, it's
Unless
like-
you feel like you have a skill that would go into place here, but I'm
I'm
looking
specifically looking for things. I'm looking for what might have been a reason for connection. So I'm actually hoping to do insight for
Ooh,
it because.
I
I'm-
really like insight there. Feel free to do an insight.
All right.
And if you want to as well, Tash, feel free. that perception?
No, I think I would be just. I'm going for what the book's about. I'm going
That's
for like the
intelligence.
story of the
Oh,
book.
I have no idea.
Um,
What is my rolls today?
And I'm glad you said that it was in Elvish, because I was going to say if it's in Common, he would have trouble reading it.
No,
Because-
it's Elvish.
Read Common. He can read Common, but it takes a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's not your first
Um,
language.
What?
So, intelligence?
After I fought so hard for insight to be the skill, I fucking roll a natty one.
I know. I love it.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I got this.
Meanwhile, Virik has got this. The knowledge
What?
cleric is useless.
While the elves start reading, Elias is like, I'm gonna actually do something. You go to the library and you
If
start
I
looking
can
in through the windows.
See, what I want to try to do is this, to try to gain some information about
Ooh.
her, or just ghost stuff in general.
With that perception check, you don't really ever see the physical banshee. It's kind of
Gotcha.
like when you were first there, you can just see the disturbance it's causing. You never
Right.
see the physical banshee. It's just that this disturbance is now on all the floors. You see, like, bookcases have been knocked over, aside from when they're actually built into the walls. They've been knocked over. It's as much as a mess as a library can get, and considering it's like books and papers and scrolls and stuff, it's
Yeah.
a mess.
Okay.
Now, Barut, you're reading it, and you're getting a little caught up in the story. I don't know if Barut has ever read a
No,
cheesy
fiction-
romance novel fiction like this.
He doesn't read fiction.
It
He
maybe
only
takes him
reads
even a bit
nonfiction.
of he doesn't even necessarily work out that it's fiction. Whether he really understands what the word fiction is, this story about
Yeah.
how an elvish woman learns to appreciate a half-elvish man. How they find love in each other, even though they're not meant to be, and no one approves. You do get kind of wrapped up. It's very interesting. You actually pay a lot of attention to the characters. The elvish woman is sort of the child of someone important, a nobleman's daughter, raised to be a wife of high quality, which is a little less terrible when you're post-Socrates elves, but still. This book, of course, complains about it because it's probably written by someone like that. The half-elf is actually a pickpocket, a street urchin who runs with a gang, and the gang ends up being pretty damn terrible. And one of the big themes of the book is like, oh, you could be more than that. You just need to, we can, and that all that kind of cheesy stuff. And you get very invested. Rick, while you're reading, you actually start to notice something. Your eyes are seeing things that you maybe go to very like, do you see something there? It's like, you have the description of the embrace. It's like, no. You're not seeing the words. And it's not that you're seeing the story in your mind's eyes. You're seeing symbols that are put onto some pages of this book incredibly faintly. And when you're actually done reading, you actually take some of these pages and sort of squish them together and actually make some magical symbols that are glowing ever so slightly. Not that you understand magic enough to understand what it necessarily is, but the innate darkness of how your magic works, you end up sort of resonating with it and seeing it truly and pointing it out to Brute after he's done wiping up his tears from the tragic...
It was a really heart-wrenching story.
But they left room for a sequel.
So emotional.
I will relay that and in its entirety to Brute.
Yeah.
It just kind of looks like... both of you have seen
So the
magic
pages?
written by elves. It is sort of a circle of magic and symbols and all those sort of things.
I want
You wanna try an
to see if I
Arcana
can
check.
understand it. Yeah.
Feel free,
Well,
both
I
of you
got-
can.
You know.
I'll give Tesh an advantage on this actually, because
Yeah.
you're resonating.
Watch me roll 2 natty once.
No, you're not very good still, but better than mine.
It's definitely a learned magic. It's not some sort of quick. This is took care, and it took thought to layer it in such a way that it's not even necessarily maybe meant to be hidden, but so the magic is laced through the entire book. You don't really figure out what it is, what school the spell connects to. You do figure that this is the magic that is essentially either to cast a spell or casting a spell. Like, you don't know, it could still be an effect. You really have no way of telling. It could be a spell book. It could be like pages of, you have no way of knowing. It's just that it is, in D&D terms, it's definitely a wizard spell.
Yeah.
It's someone who has learned of magic.
I will relay that. Do you think this could be like a could this have been what she was killed for?
That is a very large jump. It could be
True.
I mean, it could be. It absolutely could be. It's magic. It could be what's keeping her there. It could be what she was killed for. It could be any number of things. We unfortunately don't really know the very nature of the magic. We know a few things. We know that the King of Spears can't win, and we know that she is a friend of the Forgotten. Those are the two things that she has said to us. We know that this book is very important to her, and I understand why. It was an incredibly emotional story. I think she probably resonated with it, and that's, I understand. And you see him tear up just a little bit again, and then just...
Get a little giggle out of that.
But we know that this book is important to her, and we know that she's very, very upset, and it's likely that this book is a good reason why she might be. It's not there, and she is stuck there.
I would like to return it to her because I was the one that took it from her.
I'm going to hand it back, and I'm going to say very kind of in a tone that's very hushed. This is meant to be somewhat quiet so that if Eleanor is in the room still meditating and praying, that it's not heard.
Mhm.
But, it's probably not that stealthy. You can probably hear it. Because Bruit doesn't really whisper.
He's a mountain elf.
Yeah.
Yell.
You gotta yell. You gotta shout. But he's being as quiet as he can be, which is probably what I'm like the level that I'm talking at right now. So
Hushed voice.
Hushed voice. If she is stuck here and we can't put her to rest, I don't know how we proceed. And outside of the bounds of monster hunting, I don't think that we should be just repetitively killing this poor girl. I think that we need to find a better way to deal with the problem. And as much as the Grey Fist's methods are very direct, I feel this may be a time for indirect action.
If we can put her to rest, and that's the way we do it. If we can't, then maybe we can help her get a better grasp on what's happening. Maybe she can stay in the library but not cause harm, not cause distress.
Training a banshee is, I think, unheard of. I don't think it's ever happened before. I don't think it's something that is even possible. But her history needs to be remembered. We need to find out what happened. We need to find out how we can help her. And if we can't help her, then we need to help her come to terms with things.
Yeah.
I think we should seek out the Whisperblade family.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Oh, fuck.
Quiet like a cat.
Engrossing your story. Was it well?
It was an incredibly emotional tale. Honestly, I just I imagine it must be based on some true story that must have occurred in one of these cities here. Oh, it was just
actually even more like, oh god.
just I've never read a story like that where it's an interpretation of a history. I think it was very clearly based on something, though, and I'm hoping to find out what in the future.
Huh. Well, I think our next move should be to find out who Aradi was in her life. She clearly got mixed up in something she shouldn't have, and perhaps those who knew her will know more.
Perhaps.
Oh, you put.
I 100.
No, it's
I wrote that
Elvish.
entirely wrong in every way, shape, and form.
I was
I also
actually
think I called her Eladai last time, which I
You
don't know
did.
why I did. It's meant to be.
I got her
Elodie.
last name right, but
yes.
Well, that's 2 words.
That's 2 words smooshed together. That one's
Yeah.
relative.
It sounds much better in Elvish.
Yeah.
I will take my victories
Most
where I
things
can.
do.
Tobias just like comes back into the room, just looks around, and he's like,
You
"Well,
see, Brute has tears running over the pale scars on his face. Just emotional.
This is honestly just shocking to me because like I've seen you near death many times.
Never
Like,
cry.
I've
You've
seen-
never seen me cry.
Yeah, I just kind of look to you and I'm like,
Oh.
what's wrong with him?
I'm just gonna pat him on the shoulder and then drink a nice big cup of coffee that's still there and put it down on the tray.
Coffee's cold.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
It's like midday. now.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Can I take some
just
time
shake my
now? Can I take some time now to use my disguise kit to make my face underneath my hood a wood elven face?
Oh yeah.
'Cause-
I reckon that would take for you around 10 minutes or so. So
Cool.
it's like hold up. They have a little lunch where you powder your face. It's actually quite a very
and
impressive.
I would get their opinion on it, like
Yeah.
as I like.
It's very impressive considering he is a drow with a sort of navy obsidian skin, and he gets out this old box filled with powders and paints and starts painting on literal sort of a dark brown but still a wood elven sort of skin tone, and it's
Is he using the silvered plate that they have randomly hanging on the wall?
it helps. It's the best mirror.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
And then finally the eye drops to finish. Like it's
Yeah.
actually a real complete transformation. If you didn't know, it would be very hard to tell. Of course, Barut, you know, but someone incredibly talented would be able to tell it, like, oh, your face shapes and like, but for all intents and purposes.
He probably looks a little bit more like a mountain elf.
Yeah,
Face
it's
shape
one of those
wise.
things where
With me in the party,
there are
that-
very dark-skinned wood elves,
Yeah.
so he looks. That's who he's meant to emulate. But wood elves, mountain elves are all very dark-skinned. Nearly.
Yeah, so I'm probably looking. I'm like, well, that's flattering. Trying to make yourself look like a mountain elf.
But not exactly, but I mean that works.
And the funny
Yeah.
thing is, in comparison too, is that Barut, even before he got his new scars, is very scarred, whereas Varric is like very baby face. At least in my imagination.
Oh no, very much so.
Very baby
protects
face
the
under
face.
this hood and like ninja equipment. So he
Always
kinda
protect-
does look like a little brother. Not just the humans being racist. But
Interesting.
Huh.
That
You,
could come in handy.
how old are you?
I am 140. This is actually me now, mental blanking on what I did. 144.
You do look like a young mountain elf with this face paint on.
Huh. Good to know. That makes things easier.
Bird's gonna have more of the cold coffee.
it's now started to get cold enough that it's nice again. Had like a
Once he's done with the makeup, he's actually going to put the mask and hood back on over
yeah.
to sort of make himself look like he was before.
Take some of that coffee and pour a little bit of that whiskey in it.
Yeah. Dwarven coffee.
Yeah.
And
Everyone
you
just
head
gives
out.
him a dirty look. It's like it's called experimentation.
Oh my.
Oh dear.
Alright.
I can do science too, Baru.
Pruitt is like watching what you're doing, and he's probably joined you in that, in
Yeah.
pouring a little whiskey in the coffee. Absolutely. That's, but he's also probably done it already because he spent some time on the Crimson Mountain. So.
All right. So, what is the plan? Where are you planning on going? It's still raining a little, but yeah.
I am going to go return the book.
Yeah, and I'm coming too. I think we go first, and we try and speak with her first, and then we try, because we need to at the very least settle the situation. And if the book can do that, so that she at least contains herself to the second floor, people can then at least use the library again. Which I know for me, if I was here when I was studying and this was happening, it would have been a massive disruption to my studies. So just for the sake of the scholars, I think it's important that we try and calm the situation as fast as possible.
That first floor is just a nightmare. Like, it's worse than the second floor was yesterday. Like, I was poking around and...
Okay. Well, Eleanor, we may have some more sorting to do when we get back.
Let me attempt to go first. Don't be too far behind me, but I want to try and talk to her one-on-one in hopefully a less intimidating fashion.
We should also send word to our Patreon, the person who asked that we do this task while we're here. Maybe he can give us the connections we need to talk to the family and friends of this girl.
Last time when I asked him, he didn't know too much information, but if he's gotten some,
You did
perhaps
ask him
that would...
Yeah.
If he was able to actually source anything out, then that would be good.
We have a name, which is more than we had before, that we can give him to look into.
I believe we did give him the name before. Yes,
you talked to him when you'd already fought her.
My memory's a little bit hazy. I did get slashed across the face, but I believe I gave him the name. If I didn't, then we should absolutely give that to him, just for well.
So I will just have a letter dropped up to him, basically saying, "This is why it's not working. This is why we can't exercise him without more information. We'll be working on it, essentially."
Yeah, absolutely. And the tavern can send it off. I mean, they are working with the dude, and you can go back to the library. You guys go up to the door. They don't stop you or anything. Virik, do you want to just go in completely by yourself first of all?
At least for like I want to be like essentially 30 foot ahead, just to try and.
I was gonna say I'm following at minimum 60.
Yeah, no, I want you
at maximum 60 foot behind, at minimum 30 foot behind.
It's entirely reasonable.
Virik knows what happens if you get caught in a banshee scream, so he's just like, be near, but not too near.
You go inside, and it is dark again. Exactly as Tobias said, it is a mess. The bottom floor was perfectly neat as possible. It is much bigger than the higher floor. It is, like I said, things knocked over. There's like ink splashed up the walls. At one point you think it's blood, it's just red ink. There's 3 flashes of light behind you, Virik. You hope it's not the ghost.
Well,
but you aren't disrupted while you're walking, and you walk up to the second floor. And as you walk very slowly, carefully through, there are like books that are like sort of flown, but they never hit you. There's things rustling, but there's no more of those phantasms. And you go all the way up to the book stand with the book. You're never disrupted.
Okay. When I get up to the place where we fought her before, I'm just gonna call out, "Hey, Liddy. I wish to apologize and return this." And I'm gonna hold out the book, just sort of out, just show it.
You can give me
And
a
as I'm
persuasion
doing
check.
that, I'm gonna take off my hood, take off my mask. I'm sorry to take it. I wish to return it now. I can see why you like it.
You can give me a persuasion check.
Please, God.
It's not terrible, but it's not good.
One.
You don't hear anything back. You don't even feel anything in the air. It actually feels almost like a little tension in the air is gone. But you don't know if you're even imagining that because you're so anxious right now. Because you're trying to talk to a ghost.
I'm gonna put it down and attempt to open it to reasonably close to the same page it was at last time.
When you start
Do I have to do
doing
a roll
that...
to try and remember?
No.
Oh, okay.
When you start doing that, you start you open it up. A spectral hand just like snaps it back shut, but you don't see the rest of the banshee. It's one of those things where you can clearly feel the presence there for a moment, but it's basically just like
Yep. Sorry. If you want me to leave it closed, I'll leave it closed.
No response.
Are you protecting the book? Are you protecting it from the king of what was it? King of Spears. I almost said spades. King of Spades.
That would be too easy, wouldn't it? Another persuasion.
Oh, come on. Again with the almost 20.
Almost on the 20s.
That's today's theme, apparently. You don't hear anything. The sort of curtains on the window in front of you sort of rustle, and the wind starts to pick up slightly. The tension forms again. You don't hear anything or even see her again.
Okay. Then I'm going to turn around and start moving towards where I came from. I'm going to say, hey, Lydia, I want to find out what happened to you, and I want to make it right. I'm sorry. And I'm going to continue walking back.
You think you see her in the corner of your eye, but when you turn, there's nothing. And when you come back down with the others, you don't have the book, and you're not dead.
Yep.
They didn't hear a scream.
Yep. Have things calmed down a bit down here now?
It's not like it was like a constant turmoil. It's not like things are cleaner either. It's just left as it was.
Burrowit is going to actually sit, grab as many of the books as he possibly can and put them on one of the tables. And I'm going to sit down for an hour.
No. So before he starts...
Which is just any book?
Before he opens up a book?
I'm not opening up any books.
Oh, okay. Virik is just going to be like, she didn't want the book opened. When I tried to open it back to the page, she closed it. If there are any more books that have anything in them, she may not want them open, so just be careful.
I won't be opening any books. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to sort them, and I'm going to put them back where they were.
Okay.
And if anyone else would like to help me with that, that's fine. But I will be honest with you, I'm going to be doing it magically, so you don't need to. And I'm just going to literally just walk around. And the only thing you could help me with, if you want to, is help me pile them on that table over there.
I actually have a different plan. I'm going to go out and ask the people who work in the library about Aelity.
Okay. Well,
and leaving my mask off and leaving my hood off, I'm going to walk out and start talking to the people outside about Aelity.
I'm going to be doing that over about an hour.
Question, Tesh. Does your regular white hair, did you dye it when you're...
I would have dyed it. I wouldn't just leave it with white hair.
I just suddenly thought about it because I don't often think about Virik's hair.
It's very short anyway, so I imagine it wouldn't be too hard.
It's not
last, but it's
one day dye. It's whatever.
I wouldn't walk out into the rain with it. If I was walking out to the rain, I'd put the hood up.
What do the humans want to do?
I will accompany Virik and make sure he stays out of trouble and, give him assistance where it might be. But I say I don't actively interrogate people.
You're just sort of following around behind. Maybe say the occasional thing, but you're just sort of following behind.
I will say, what you will notice is Virik is acting very different than he normally does. He's being very proper and sort of courteous and acting very almost noble-ish when he's asking the questions and trying to put on a...
It's like the form of Elvish he speaks is like a higher Elvish than...
Yeah.
When he speaks to Barut, it's like the Elvish version of Cockney. And this is much more formal and proper. Tobias, are you also going to sort of tag along and...
I don't like talking to people, and I really don't like books. But I guess if I have to pick one, I'm just gonna take my cloak and kind of just go to the piles of books and just like drag them.
That's 100% okay. I'm literally just sorting them.
You just
This
sort
is-
of you help with the
Just
cleanup
dump it on
more
the
than the
table.
sorting.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sorting I don't need the help with. I just need you to get the books to the table so I can sort them.
And I will do so.
So, Varric, you go out and you start talking to the scholars and various people who are either sort of sitting on the steps. They are out in nearby little. This city has a lot of like little sitting areas, often under covers, or even there's like a little cafe across the street. They're in this little scattered area. I do want you to give me a persuasion check for the general rounding up of information.
Yep.
Team Nature
Oh,
Magic,
come on.
which isn't even appropriate because Ella has Nature Magic too. You two, team top of the
Nature
screen.
Magic.
There we go. While you're doing this, there is still spectral disruptions. It has not stopped. You are trying to sort books that occasionally they don't fly off or hit you or anything. Just the building shakes. You do see the occasional phantasm appearing from the books, but they don't attack you, which is better.
It's a plus. Yeah. Step
But
in the
it's
right
one of
direction.
those things, after around 10 minutes, it's clear you are sorting and cleaning something that is going to be a mess again in X amount of time. Maybe not as much of a mess.
At some point, I feel like maybe, I don't know, for the third or fourth time that Tobias has had to jump to catch a book that was flying away, he's just gonna like stop and like look up towards the roof and just like, if there's a broom or pole or something around, like bang it and be like, can you not? Like, we're trying to fix your library.
That's
Hi.
funny. So you continue doing it even as...
I'm still doing it, and I'm showing as much respect for the books as I possibly can, and partially for show, because as much like I don't actually care about like a lot of the books that are in here. I care about books in general and the history of them.
You're just doing such a bulk job.
But I'm trying to make sure that I'm showing as much care as possible, partially for her to see if that matters to her that I actually know this library. Now, something that I didn't ask you, would she have been in here when I was here? Those years
Well, that's
ago?
the thing. You don't really know what she looks like.
Yeah.
You haven't
Do I-
seen, and you could, while you're going through the books and you're thinking, I will allow you a retroactive insight check.
Okay.
Because this is the time where it'd be appropriate for you to think about it.
Yeah. It's not terrible.
It's one of those things that when you talk to Halavar, he described the pair of them, Elodie and someone else, as a pair of similar-looking girls, and one of them often was crying. I mean, in that book.
Yeah,
Could
I
send
understand.
someone to tears.
If they were reading that book, no wonder they were crying. Oh.
And that seems familiar, but ultimately, a pair of black-haired high elf girls in a library like this.
Oh no. You disappeared for a moment and frozen.
It's the poltergeist. Ultimately,
Yeah.
a pair of black-haired high elf girls in a library like this. It's one of those things, you think you may have seen them, but you didn't know them, you didn't talk to them.
No. Well, I
Not
wouldn't
enough
have
to think
anyways.
about it, but enough to be, you're sort of thinking about it more and be like, maybe if you saw the other one, you might have an easier time by like a small amount than the others at picking them out, especially from like a crowd or something.
Yeah. Do I like these two that I'm thinking about? Were they hanging out on the second floor a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You-
So
you would see them
I
going-
think I've
you
got
would-
the right people.
You would see them going like up to the second floor, essentially, because you'd mostly be studying down here and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because I'd be in the nonfiction section like a true scholar. But you know.
Well,
okay.
it's an elven library. It's not quite that simple, but yes.
No. Well, I know, but you know.
And this is one of those things too, well, like just during our little cleanup operation, like in conversation, Tobias would probably ask, like, so what was that book about?
Well, it was a story that I think was probably based on a true story. It was a romantic tale about an elven woman who fell in love with a half-elf, and just it wasn't accepted by society. And I can understand that. I mean, I wasn't really accepted by. Well, never mind. It's just. It was a really heart-wrenching story, and I think emotionally it probably really resonated with her.
Gotcha. I mean, where I'm from, most of our stories are just told with words that aren't written down.
Yeah.
Tattoos, and I gesture to some of the stuff on my face. But it sounds like it might have resonated with you too.
Well, before I left my home, there was someone. And I'll pull out the small pocket watch that I have, and I'll show it to Tobias. And inside is, it's not really a pocket watch. It was this casing for a pocket watch, but really what it is it's become a locket for me. And it just has a small painting of a wood elven woman. And I'll just show that to you.
Yeah, Tobias will just kind of look at it, and he's like, oh. I see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll close enough and give it back.
Yeah.
What could have possibly driven you to leave such a lovely woman behind?
She was doing the same thing I was, but in the other direction. She came to my home to study culture, and I came out this way to do the same. But she made her choice to stay there. And he's going to be looking off into the distance and genuinely pained looks on his face. And you'll see, again, for the second time ever, tears roll down on his right cheek.
No. We'll kind of give him a hearty, shoulder clasp and just be like, well, distance only makes the heart grow fonder, right, buddy?
Isn't that the truth? And I'm going to pocket away the small locket.
Maybe distantly look to a globe that's in the room,
yeah,
where you can see just how far that distance is.
It's real far. I was on a boat for a long time.
And with that, we're going to take our first break. You weren't expecting this, this.
Nope.
Just this. Just this.
Story of my life.
Back in 5 minutes.
Tobias just so in over his head.